There was one title he could never hold. In the political world he was born into, the rank of Khan belonged exclusively to the descendants of Genghis Khan, and he was not one of them. He came from a Turkicized tribe of modest standing in a district south of Samarkand. He was permanently lame from a wound taken in his 20s, and by the time he died in 1405, he had built an empire reaching from Anatolia to the Indus, had defeated the Ottoman Sultan, the Mamluk Sultanate, the Delhi Sultanate, and the Golden Horde, and made Samarkand into one of the most spectacular cities on earth. He did all of it under the title of Emir, ruling in the name of a figurehead Khan whose lineage he lacked. He was born in 1336 in the district of Kesh, roughly 80 kilometers south of Samarkand, in what is now Shahrizabs in Uzbekistan. His family belonged to the Barlas, a tribe of Mongol origin that had settled in Transoxiana and become Turkic in language and largely Muslim in religion. His father was a minor figure among the Barlas leadership. The family was not powerful and not poor. The political landscape of his youth was the fragmented Western Chagatai domain. Real authority lay with tribal emirs commanding their own followings. Formal legitimacy lay with Genghisid Khans, who increasingly had no independent power. Coalitions formed and dissolved. Any ambitious commander built his position through a combination of raiding, negotiation, marriage alliance, and the ability to keep followers supplied and rewarded. Timur entered this world as a leader of a small band. The early sources describe a period of shifting alliances in which he served various patrons, changed sides more than once, and at times operated with a handful of men. During this period, he received the wound that permanently disabled his right leg and right arm, which is the origin of the name by which he became known in Europe, derived from a Persian phrase meaning Timur the Lame. The injury has been confirmed physically. When his tomb in Samarkand was opened by a Soviet archaeological expedition in 1941, the skeleton showed injuries to the right leg and arm, consistent with the accounts. His decisive partnership was with Amir Hussein, a Chagatai commander with whom he allied, fought, quarreled, and eventually contested for supremacy. The alliance produced his marriage to Hussein's sister, and its collapse produced the campaign in which Hussein was defeated and killed in 1370 at Balkh. That year is the conventional date for the beginning of Timur's rule. He was 34. He immediately married a Genghisid princess, which allowed him to use the title of Gurkhan, meaning son-in-law of the imperial house, and he installed a nominal Khan of the dynasty. The formal fiction was maintained for the rest of his life. Coins were struck and documents issued in the name of the puppet Khan. The orders were Timur's. The campaigns that followed occupied 35 years, and their geographic range is the most striking feature of his career. Between 1370 and 1385, he consolidated Transoxiana, subdued Khwarezm across several campaigns, and intervened repeatedly in Mogolistan to the east. From the 1380s, he turned toward Iran, taking Herat in 1381 and progressively bringing the Iranian plateau under his control, with campaigns that the sources organize as expeditions of 3, 5, and 7 years. The conflict with the Golden Horde was the most strategically consequential of his wars. Tokhtomish, the Horde's Khan, had been supported by Timur early in his career and then turned against him. Timur defeated him at the Kondurcha River in 1391 after a march deep into the steppe, and again decisively at the Terek in 1395. Then he destroyed the Horde's principal commercial cities on the lower Volga. Historians have argued that this campaign permanently damaged the northern branch of the overland trade routes and weakened the Golden Horde to a degree from which it never recovered, with long-term consequences for the political history of Eastern Europe. In 1398, he crossed into northern India and took Delhi, defeating the Sultan there. The sack of the city is described in the sources as extremely destructive, and the Delhi Sultanate did not regain its former position. In 1400 and 1401, he campaigned in Syria and Anatolia, taking Aleppo and Damascus from the Mamluks and Baghdad from its ruler. In July 1402, near Ankara, he met and defeated the Ottoman Sultan Bayezid X, capturing him alive. That battle interrupted the Ottoman advance in the Balkans and threw the Ottoman state into a succession crisis lasting more than a decade. Then he turned east. In late 1404, he set out to invade Ming China, moving in winter. He reached Otrar on the Sir Darya and died there in February 1405 at the age of 68. The campaign was abandoned. His body was carried back to Samarkand and buried in the Gur-e-Amir. The methods of these campaigns were documented and were extreme even by the standards of the period. Cities that resisted were treated with deliberate severity, and the sources describe the construction of towers from the heads of the dead as a systematic practice intended to ensure that the next city surrendered without a fight. Modern historians treat the enormous casualty figures in the chronicles with caution, while accepting that the destruction was real and calculated. The purpose was strategic. An army operating at enormous distances from its base could not afford prolonged sieges, and terror was used as a substitute for time. Alongside this ran a policy that is equally documented and equally deliberate. Skilled craftsmen, architects, artists, scholars, and scientists were systematically spared and deported to Samarkand. Masons from Iran, tile workers from Azerbaijan, weavers from Damascus, metal workers and glassmakers and stone cutters from across the conquered territories were resettled in the capital and put to work. The Timurid architecture that followed was the product of that concentration of skill. What they built is still standing. The Bibi Khanim Mosque, begun in 1399 after the Indian campaign, was one of the largest mosques in the Islamic world. Its scale exceeded what the construction techniques of the time could reliably support, and parts of it began failing during Timur's lifetime. The Gur-e-Amir, with its fluted ribbed dome, became a model for later Timurid and Mughal architecture. The Shah-e-Zinda necropolis received a series of mausoleums with tilework of extraordinary quality. At Turkestan, in what is now southern Kazakhstan, he commissioned an enormous mausoleum over the grave of the Sufi teacher Ahmad Yasawi, which remains one of the largest structures of its kind in Central Asia. Samarkand itself was rebuilt as an imperial capital, with new walls, gardens laid out around the city, and a commercial infrastructure designed to draw the overland trade through it. The Spanish envoy, Ruy González de Clavijo, who reached the city in 1404 on an embassy from Castile, left a detailed account of what he saw: the markets, the craftsmen from many nations, the gardens, the construction underway, and the ceremonial in the gardens outside Samarkand in 1404 gave a detailed picture of how power was displayed at his court. The empire did not survive intact. Timur had made no stable arrangement for the succession, and his death was followed by conflict among his sons and grandsons. His son Shah Rukh eventually secured control of the eastern portion and ruled from Herat until 1447, presiding over a period of remarkable cultural achievement. But the western territories were lost, and the Timurid state contracted steadily until the Uzbek conquests at the beginning of the 15th century ended it in Central Asia. The dynasty did not end there. A great-great-great-grandson of Timur, driven out of Fergana and then out of Samarkand, went south, took Kabul, and in 1526 founded an empire in India that lasted for 3 centuries. History isn't just the past, it's the record of how the present came to be. Comment below with the ruler or period of Central Asian history you would like covered next. If this kind of documented, source-based history speaks to you, consider liking and subscribing so more of it can reach you. This video uses AI-generated audio and visuals for educational purposes only.